Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin. Emrah, let's put on a show.
Let's do it.
Welcome to another episode of Golden Nuggets with me, your host, Silvia Eldawi. And today I am joined by the king of the big deals, Emrah Yar, the new founder and CEO of Equity. Welcome to the show, Emrah.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Now, you have recently opened Equity, which is a brokerage specializing in residential, commercial, and I'd say you've been like a top broker for many, many years, 8 years in Dubai.
Yep.
And you've taken the step that a lot of brokers feel like is their kind of destiny at some point. So we really want to kind of get into the early stages of opening up your own brokerage, and congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
So I want to know, what was the turning point in your career where you were like, I need to build my own brokerage?
I think once you get to a certain level of being an agent, if you're an ambitious person, you're going to want something more. I think my main drive was like the team that I built, and I kind of built that completely from scratch myself. And obviously, you know, a few of the members I've got in my team.
Rhiannon, shout out Rhiannon.
Yeah, big shout out to Rhiannon, probably the hardest worker I know.
The most patient commercial broker I must have did about 30 years.
Definitely, like literally, she's the hardest person that I've ever met in my life. Absolute diamond. So having that team, telling myself, having the confidence in myself after building a team, and I don't think it's much different to building a company, to be honest. We were a bit like a company within a company anyway. So yeah.
So it's kind of like the dream team of commercial agents.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Okay, and what were the qualities, what were the key qualities you looked for when building that team?
I think I didn't really know what to look for at the beginning because I was obviously inexperienced in building a team. But from building the team, I saw that it's just mainly about mindset. Everything else can be taught. I mean, it's just the mindset, the person. Once someone believes in you and believes in what we're trying to do, then sky's the limit, especially in this country and in the industry we work in.
And you assembled that group, and you then created Equity.
Yep.
Talk to me about the journey. What was the inspiration behind the name, the theme, the culture, everything that you've got in mind?
I mean, in terms of the name, I kind of just made it up sitting at the dining table, to be honest, after just jotting a few names down. I wanted to, to be a bit
story
different.
Behind that.
Yeah,
okay,
there is no sexy story behind it for sure. But it's the kind of the loyalty I had from the team just kind of made me push me into this, to be honest. Once you've got, and I actually had certain individuals leave my team before we opened, and they were like, let me know when you're ready and I'll kind of come back. So when you've got that many people believing in you, that's the journey, to be honest. And
I've seen your office, you know, I've seen snippets of your office. You certainly haven't scrimped on the fit out, the furniture, the location.
Anyone who knows me would know I wouldn't scrimp on that anyway.
Yeah, so you've spent a pretty penny. Did you have, like, is this all bootstrapped, or did you like close a massive deal and it was like, right, I'm putting all of that into the office? Or do you have external investors?
I've got a business partner. Yeah, we've got a partner. The location where we've got the office is actually a bit sentimental for me because most of my transactions and where I kind of made my name for myself in real estate was in those buildings in Boulevard Plaza. So it was only fitting that we have an office in there. Yeah.
And was that your own client?
It was we had actually sold him the floor a couple of years ago, so we got quite a bit of a discount on the rent as well. So.
I bet. Sentimental value. All right. So what does so as a CEO, you're there to kind of, especially at the beginning stages where it should be easiest to build the team culture. What does team culture mean to you, and how are you going about building that environment?
I mean, team culture is, we've got obviously such a high turnover in Dubai real estate, and a lot of the bigger companies are looking at these employees just as numbers because a lot of people come and go. But not just in real estate, for anyone who's come to Dubai, there's a lot of emotion involved in it as well. So it can't just be, even probably for yourself, you've made a move over here, and a lot of other people, we leave our friends, family behind.
Everything you know.
We try and change our lives. So how can there not be emotion involved in this? And a lot of me and my team, we're on the same journey. We might be at different parts of it. So when you've got that connection, and we're all obviously very ambitious people because we've taken a step to come over here, worked together for many years. So I think to us, the culture comes very easy.
Yeah. And I was having this conversation the other day where it's like, the thing about Dubai is 90% of the people that are here have moved here, as you said, left everything they know, their family, their friends that they grew up with, their entire lives, to make something of themselves. So there's like this contagious energy. It's like a high frequency.
Something we all have in common, right?
Yeah, it's like that entrepreneurialism is kind of inbuilt, and I feel like everybody wants to help each other or sees that in each other. But obviously, you've been in Dubai Brokerage for 8 years. Do you want to just talk to us about your journey throughout?
Yeah, I mean, I came over here without a job. I came over here with zero real estate experience. I ended up joining one of the big companies over here.
Started off in rentals.
I started off straight in commercial.
Okay.
So in commercial, we were allowed to do sales and leasing. It probably took me 6 months to even work out what day of the week it was, to be honest, like learning the job, learning the culture.
Oh, I thought you were going to say because you were out and about beach clubs and...
no, definitely not. I came over
here.
here with my head quite screwed on. I think the age makes a big difference as well. So yeah, then I kind of blagged my way into my next job. I wasn't maybe as experienced or maybe wasn't as fitting. So yeah, then that's where I started building the team. Spent just over 5 years there, and here we are.
Okay, and you're 39 years old now. You mentioned tapped into your age, whereas a lot of people do start off in their 20s, and then. So, what difference do you think that made that you were slightly more mature?
I mean,
you joined the industry?
it's the maturity. I think you can have that maturity at any age, but when you've got a big why for why you're here. I've got a family. I've got 2 children now. At the time, I had only one. I had a daughter. So when you've got that why, you need that why in this job. The job's not actually difficult, but mentally draining. Anyone who works in this game at any level is going to tell you the same thing. So yeah, definitely when you're a bit older, sometimes your why is a bit bigger, and you pick up a lot of whys as you get older as well. So that's what I think. Although nowadays I'm meeting 23, 24-year-olds that are, I wish I was that on the ball at that age, to be honest. So there's a lot of new people coming into the industry. So I think the levels are going up, and even like the quality of the agents are going up now as well.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, thank God.
What would you say were like the significant lessons you learned throughout your real estate career?
I think not just for my real estate career, I think I've learnt even throughout life, everyone's just kind of making it up as they go along. So when I first joined the previous company I was at to build the team there, I'd never built a team. They asked me, could I do it? I said, yeah, of course I can. Obviously my knees were trembling a bit at the time, but we got there. We're building a company now, never been a CEO before, so I'm making that up as I go along. And obviously everyone's got
there are books. There are books, Emrah. You don't have to make it up as you go along. There are some podcasts. You can ask Google.
Yeah, I mean, that gives you a bit of guidance, but if you want to be different, then obviously you've got to make some bits up as you go along.
Yeah, true. Okay, so what's been the most, let's say we've got someone listening right now or watching right now, and they're thinking about making that leap. What would your top 3 bits of advice? There's got to be something that you're like, I wish I knew that. I wish I didn't do that. I wish I...
I mean, not so much yet, to be honest. We're still at quite early stages, and I'm lucky enough to have an amazing team from beginning to end, and even agents. They've just been doing things that they don't really need to do, but because they believe in me and believe in the company. So for me, it's been a lot easier than most, I would say. But one thing is for sure, it's not as glamorous, and people only just look at the highlights. When you own a company, there's a lot of stress.
What's been stressing you out? Come on,
I'm the kind of person, if you're working under my roof, I see it as a bit of a responsibility on my shoulders. So obviously I think we're close to 30 staff now, including agents and backroom. But hopefully be more by the time we hear this. So yeah, just having that responsibility and guiding the way is not stressing away, but it's obviously... It's not as easy as it looks.
You're not sleeping as easy as you were before.
If you work in real estate, you never sleep easy anyway. So that's something we're all used to.
And what would you say one common misconception that maybe you had about setting up your own brokerage?
A lot of the misconception. I mean, there's a lot of hidden costs that you wouldn't have thought of, and everything's always moving quite quickly here. Everything's changing from month to month as well. Whether it's your licensing costs, office costs. Then you've got your portals and marketing costs as well.
So had you done your projections based on outdated?
I wouldn't say outdated. I mean, I work in my speciality is in commercial real estate, so probably follow those kind of things for my clients even before it was for myself. So I'm a bit more informed, but I would definitely advise people to do some extra research, not just go by what they've heard in the market, because I get a lot of agents calling me. I'm thinking set up, what should I do with this? What should I do with that? So everyone's just trying to like pick up some information or advice from their surroundings, but I would definitely look into it a bit more.
Okay. And other misconceptions?
I don't know what I'm meant to say to that.
What did you find the hardest? Forget the money. What was like the hardest part of it?
I don't really know, to be honest.
No?
If everything's been like, I don't know if maybe it's been for us, or maybe it's been the team I've had around me. Obviously, like smaller things like looking for an office, finding the right place, and then getting like agents in and to work for you. But with everything's been, I don't want to jinx it now, obviously, but everything's been quite smooth up until now. We know what we're doing. It's not as if we're opening a company and trying it out, or like dipping our toes into the water. We know what we're doing. We've been doing it for many years. We're just doing it under a different roof, under a different name.
And so are you happy to like go into the costs roughly? Like if I'm watching this and I'm thinking about it, what's the minimum amount of money I need? What's the minimum amount of cash?
That's just like a bit like how long's a piece of string? There's so many levels you could do this on. I mean, we entered the market. I think the market's really good at the minute. And I feel because we're new, we need to catch up, obviously, because we are new. In order to do that at a faster pace, you're going to have to invest a bit more in terms of office locations, in terms of marketing, and in terms of the staff.
Give me a figure.
I mean, you could open a company here from a real estate company from 250,000 dirham, or you could spend 2.5 million dirham.
But 250 would be the minimum.
I couldn't see it being less than that. I mean, for an office, you could take a flexi desk or a serviced office, or you could go and take a bigger office in downtown looking over the Burj. So there's a huge difference in costs. But all about your style and the kind of way you want to do business, to be honest.
Happy to share how much you've spent so
No.
far? Was it 7 figures and above?
I wouldn't say 7, but we're not far off.
Okay. Okay. Now, you were in...
Hold on, 7 would be 1 million, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, it is above 7.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
Here we go. 8 years experience in real estate.
In commercial real estate.
Commercial real estate. You're the king of the big deals.
But can't work the numbers out.
We can't work out now. You're forgiven. We had to work out how many digits a billion was the other day. But okay. Before that, you were in Istanbul, which is where you're from.
Yep.
And before that, a little...
I'm from Turkey, city very close to Istanbul.
And a little stint in Amsterdam.
Yep.
What was you doing there?
Chilling.
Bet. Okay. Tell us about Istanbul then.
Istanbul was obviously a completely different world. So I'm born and raised in London. Completely different world. Although I am Turkish, I'm a London boy. So that was a bit of a culture shock. It was quite different. But I ended up loving it, to be honest, after a while. So yeah. Not really
okay.
too much to tell on that front.
Right. So for you, going back to your kind of commercial real estate life, what would you say is the biggest risk you took in your commercial real estate days, and how did it pay off? Can you tell us about some of these big deals?
I could tell you some of them. So one of the things I was quite, I wouldn't say afraid, but like hesitant on is when this was quite at the earlier times in my career. It's if there was a property I'd believe in that I could definitely like flip this or make the buyer some serious profit on it. I'd be a bit more hesitant to push people into it, not in a pushy way, but if I'm going to push someone into something, I need to believe in it myself. Right. To be honest with you, so that was once I kind of gained that confidence in. Do you know what? We should definitely buy this. This is what we can do, and I kind of proved to myself that I can deliver on the promises. That was quite a game changer for me. Just following my sixth sense, if you like. Yeah.
And you use that to your own advantage as well, because you bought and sold your own.
Yeah, I've bought and sold multiple properties here. I still own multiple properties here. Although my investments haven't been the best, I've always advised clients a lot better, to be honest with you.
It's always the way, isn't it?
Yeah, mine have been a bit more emotional, I'd say.
What's that? There's an Arabic saying, you'll know it, Bab al-Najjar or something. Bab al-Najjar, like the carpenter's door or something.
Yeah.
Bab al-Najjar. You should know. You should definitely know this. All right, Bab al Najjar or something or other.
That's
but
right.
yeah, like the carpenter's door is always broken or something like that. So yeah, we're probably
my
not.
door's broken.
Yeah, so we're probably, even though we're in that position to make the best real estate moves, doesn't necessarily always.
No, I mean, there's different kind of real estate investment. Obviously, it's not always about an investment. Sometimes it's a bit more emotional purchase. I've purchased my family home as well. So it depends on the kind of direction you're going. But in terms of commercial, I can genuinely say I don't think I've missed yet in terms of what I project that we can sell a property for, or the certain kind of percentage or profit we can make.
Okay. And you've put together a brokerage from the ground up. How do you plan to scale the operation while still retaining that kind of dream team element, that dream team quality?
I mean, the dream team quality, as you say, it's more of a culture thing, if you like, just to maintain that. We're not about growing at an enormously fast pace. I'd rather, like, I'm sure this is pretty cliche, like quality over quantity and whatnot, but that's definitely something we're going for. I mean, if someone wants to join us, we're not going to say no, but the whole setup and the whole culture is having the experienced agents with the correct support. You know, the best agents in the market, especially the ones I know, are terrible with their paperwork, terrible at sending emails, terrible with all kinds of admin. So taking that away from the agents, where they can only be on the phone and do what they do best, that's kind of the idea behind our structure, if you like. And our culture is very much like that as well. So yeah.
And you've got to have, like, when you're starting a new company, you've got to have some kind of vision of, we're going to do this differently, or we're going to do X, Y, Z differently, or I never liked the way X, Y, Z was done. What are these differentiators?
I mean, when we spoke a minute about, like, there is a lot of emotion in our job. So having that emotional support, not just from me, because obviously there's only so much of me or any manager or director to go around, but when you kind of have that at the top and it kind of trickles down, the support from the directors all the way down to the support staff is there, and everyone kind of feels that culture, and you need that. Whether sometimes you need a shoulder to cry on, sometimes you need someone to do a contract for you, sometimes you need someone to do photos for you. So
I thought you were about to say something like, "Oh, we're actually going to employ an in-house therapist."
Well, I am the in-house therapist at the moment, and when you manage a real estate team or a company,
you need therapy.
Yeah, well, that is a completely different conversation altogether. But you do, sometimes you need to be a brother, sometimes a friend. And we were sort of talking about Rhiannon earlier. I've had her in her early days on the phone to me, crying her eyes out multiple times, but then now she's a completely different person. So we've got that bond, if you like, with a lot of the agents in our team.
Okay, and we've touched on flipping commercial properties. What would it can be quite tricky, as you said. You haven't always maybe made the best decisions, but what's the secret to doing it quickly and efficiently?
I don't think there's a way to do it quickly and efficiently. I think if you want to flip properties, especially in a competitive market like this, you have to sometimes look at the finer details. There's a lot of companies set up here where their company structure could be quite complex, so it's not as easy to sell the property. The buyer and the agent will have to have a lot of patience. But a lot of agents or buyers won't. Everything's so fast-paced here. Is it this price? No, it's not. Okay, leave it. Or they look at today's market. As an agent, when you're in a hot market like this, sometimes you have to project what the property value would be in 2 months, 3 months. Or if we take a floor and we split it up, this is the profit margin rather than selling it as a floor. So there's so many different factors to it. But if you're a good agent in commercial, then obviously you should be able to navigate yourself and your client through these.
And were you ever tempted to go into residential?
Yeah. For sure, because obviously coming to Dubai real estate, that's the glamorous side, no?
Yeah.
Like selling sunsets or selling Dubai, selling the big houses on the palm. That was always in the back of my mind. But looking back now, the contacts I've built and kind of the names I have in my phone book are all from being in commercial property, dealing with CEOs, chairmans, and obviously we're in a country where you have access to these kind of people a lot easier than anywhere else in the world.
It helps.
So it's kind of worked out for the best for me now, but the answer to your question, yes, especially the first 2-3 years in the game, was always in the back of my mind.
It would have been more fun, probably. And now equity is not just commercial; you're also doing residential. So how's that transition for you, now being responsible for residential agents?
Again, it's just about building the right team, having the right people around you. Commercial wise, it's pretty easy because we've got one of the best teams in the market, and they
And
just
you know
kind of
it
crack
very
on and know
well.
what they're doing, and I know it better than most in the industry as well. So just trying to, I think the job's easy. Like, the job's not difficult, you know. We all know the system, we all know how it works, but handling it mentally and having the culture is the difficult part. And we've got that right in commercial. I mean, I learned commercial as I went along, so I don't think it's going to be that much of a transition once we do the basics right.
And speaking of basics, you've actually set up a training and support members club.
Yeah, I mean, we every day's like a training session for us anyway, because we're constantly in meetings between us, throwing ideas around. It's not like we have to hold sessions for this. When we come into the office, it's just round the table, whether everyone's at their desks. It's constantly like a 24-hour training and session, not just for the guys, for me also. You know, in this industry, you learn something new every day.
And what is your style of kind of, now that you're a CEO, what are you doing to develop yourself? Like, how are you staying on top of...
Watching podcasts.
Yeah.
No, reading.
How many golden nuggets have you watched?
A few.
Okay.
Will be a few more after today. I mean, it's reading, listening, learning. I've worked at some of the biggest companies in real estate in Dubai anyway, so I've learned a lot of good things from them. I've learned some bad things from those companies as well, which I would obviously try and avoid. So yeah, just experiences I've been along and try and develop myself on a personal level every day as well.
Okay. And what would be your top tips for... I'm going to get some top tips and golden nuggets for different people.
Okay.
All right. So let's start with real estate agents. You've got 8 years experience. Half the industry right now has less than 2 years experience. So what would your top tip be for those people that are in their first couple of years or months of being an agent?
I would definitely say this job will probably bring you to your knees before it elevates you. I haven't personally met any top agent in the market who has not thought about quitting multiple times in their first 6 months, year, and whatnot. So having that grit is probably the number one thing. I mean, I came here with no experience. I have many friends here that have come with no experience, and they're all probably almost multi-millionaires now. So the proof's in the pudding, not just with one or two individuals, with hundreds or maybe even thousands. So if you've got the grit and you've got the determination, and it's quite easy to get sucked into a lot of different things in Dubai, whether it be the nightlife and whatnot. So if you keep your head down, you have your head screwed on and work hard, there's no doubt it will happen.
Yeah. And is there a common theme that you see in people? Because in your 8 years, you must have seen a lot of people fail or exit the industry or just call it a day. What's the one thing that they couldn't quite nail apart from grit and determination?
I mean, that's definitely the one thing, but a lot of people come here with the impression that in 2-3 months they're going to become millionaires or they're going to be financially comfortable. It's not really, it's obviously not the case.
Unless you're really, really lucky. Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit easier now, for sure, because the market's obviously at a certain stage. So it's a bit easier for people to get going and get themselves earning, let's say, because obviously it's a bit expensive over here compared to back home. But yeah, that's definitely the number one for people are not managing their funds or not planning like 3 to 6 months ahead. That's where most people are failing, for sure. And again, this comes to what we were speaking about earlier about age. Your head's a bit more screwed on and you can manage that aspects of your life slightly better. Well, for me, it was after 30 anyway, so. Okay.
And what would your advice be for like your sales managers, your directors and,
I mean,
management?
You've got to care, really. I mean, everyone obviously gives the same sales pitch when they're trying to recruit.
Yeah.
We care, we're like a family, we're this, we're that, but obviously you can only say that for a certain amount of time before people see through it. So I would say, don't just look at people as numbers. People have got personal stuff going on. Yes, obviously the company's important and you're running a business, but a lot of us are here alone, to be honest with you. We have a few people around us and a majority of the people I know have come here alone. So having that emotional support is very, very important.
I struggled with that. Like I always used to very much have the attitude of, your problems, you need to leave them at the door because we are running a business here.
Yeah.
And I'm not interested in, is that really bad?
I mean...
Not that I'm not interested, but it's kind of, work is work, and your personal life is your personal life.
I'd agree with that. If you're getting paid a salary to do a job,
Yeah.
but in our industry, everyone's on commission only.
Yeah.
And even if you're getting paid a salary, like again, I think if you were in the UK, it would be slightly different. It'd definitely be
that
more
was in
what
the
you're
UK
saying.
when I was like that.
Yeah, here again,
Yeah.
it comes down to what we were speaking about before. There's a lot of emotion here in any game, and I think we all need it sometimes. So,
Okay.
I don't really believe in leave your feelings. Yeah, it's easy. It is easier said than done. But even the person saying it sometimes has to bring his feelings inside. So.
Yeah. And what would your golden nuggets be for home buyers? Residential. Let's start with residential.
Well, I'd say this for residential and any kind of commercial, any kind of buyer in the market. There's always, when things are good in Dubai, there's always, this is going to burst, this is going to do.
There's a lot of noise. Yeah.
There's all. Everyone likes to have an opinion over here about and have a negative opinion. I can't see this going anywhere anytime soon. If you're thinking to buy a home and you're thinking to invest, do it. I wouldn't start waiting any longer because I project this Dubai to be the number one or the most expensive place in the world, price per square foot, for sure.
By when?
In the next few years. I think we've only just started scratching the surface. So, and I see this from obviously commercial specialists. I know a lot of the commercial deals that are going on. There's some serious establishments setting up over here. These guys don't come here to see how it goes. They come here with 10, 15-year plans. So I'm very confident in the market. So back to your question, I'll definitely just pull the trigger on it straight away.
Don't wait.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of talk. Are prices going to start coming down?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it? I can't see it anytime soon. I still think there's too much action in the market. Commercial, again, like I mentioned, is always a huge indicator of these kind of things. The CEO needs a mansion, or someone, and then it goes all the way down to someone needs an apartment.
Yeah.
Someone may need a shared accommodation, but everything always comes back to real estate.
What's going to happen to traffic?
I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of construction on the flyovers now. Hopefully they'll ease it up a bit.
Now, one thing I find quite interesting about you, slightly different, you and your plans for equity, rather than having so much of a focus on exclusive listings, exclusive sellers, exclusive landlords, you're more focused on exclusive buyers.
Exclusive clients.
Exclusive clients. Okay.
Most of our buyers generally sell exclusively with us as well.
So can you talk to us about that process? How do you go about locking in exclusive clients?
I don't think this is like a pitch or anything you can teach. This is a bit of a long game. There's obviously a lot of high net worth individuals here, and the kind of corporate direction where a lot of the companies are going because they want to have more staff, more agents, is definitely, from my opinion, is not the way to approach these kind of clients, where we have a lot of in this country, where when they're on a database, they have 10 agents calling them from the same company every week. Nobody wants to be bothered like that. If I had a client like that and I put it on a database and my company was calling that client, they wouldn't want to work with me anymore. So people want to feel special. Having the trust is obviously the most important thing. This happens over time. Making their money on their investments, proving yourself from that aspect. I think the way you go about it, once you can crack one or two and you're kind of spending their money like it's your own, to be honest, being careful with it, there's always a risk in real estate investment, but making calculated risks and lowering the risks is very important. And I think everything here is on referrals, no? I mean, once you do that with one or two, then the word kind of spreads.
But that's how to get repeat business or, to grow your network.
Yeah.
But you're locking them in as exclusive clients.
Yes.
I'm assuming they're signing something. They're signing that they're only going to search with you. They're only going to transact through you. How do you convince them to do that?
So, again, this will start on first the networking, building the relationship, what the basics, what everyone would do.
You can't go in immediately and be like, you have to work exclusive.
Of course not, because it's very cliche. Everyone's going in, we're the best because of X, Y, Z, and everyone's got their own story and own script. But you've actually got to prove yourself. This takes time. For me to lock my first exclusive client in, maybe took me 3 years after being in the game.
So, and then it's kind of like, is it a kind of conversation like, look, I'm only going to work with you if you're only working with me?
At the moment, yes. Once you've got a bit of a name for yourself and you've proved yourself and then you can say, I'm not going to work with you unless you're only going to work with us. Because you've got a lot of inexperience in the market as well. You give the correct information, another agent doesn't give the correct information, then the client's a bit like, they don't know who to believe, you know? And a lot of the time there's a lot of money at stake. So everyone always kind of second questions. But like I said, once you've got that trust and you've built that relationship, most of my clients are like my family friends now, you know? We see each other outside of business. But again, this comes down to the culture over here. That's how the business is done in this part of the world. So that's why I don't believe in the corporate side of real estate in Dubai or in the Middle East. I think obviously you'd cover a lot of business, but certain clientele, they want to be treated special.
So you believe more in the boutique-y type of brokerage rather than...
I think there's a bit of a sweet spot between both. I think you've got to have an arm that does both. You can't just do one or the other. Well, I suppose you could, but if you wanted to take it to a certain level, you're not going to get the great deals or the what people call the distressed deals unless you have a certain amount of agents picking up stock. So it's a bit of middle ground in between the both that I think we can hit.
Okay. And then going back to signing someone up exclusively with you, exclusive clients, do you get them to actually sign?
So we have some signed up exclusive, but I have clients that I've never ever signed any kind of exclusivity with me.
It's just like
it's just a bond. And again, if I was to put a piece of paper in front of them, then I don't know the reaction I'd get. But again, comes from experience. You need to understand how business runs over here. It's definitely not as corporate as anywhere else in the world. I've negotiated 100 million dirham deals like we're negotiating buying something in a bazaar. You know, that's just how it is, and that's what you've got to kind of adjust yourself to.
Now, one thing I'd love to do is, because you're what, 6 months in to equity?
Four
months, okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've kind of spoken about the expectations, your vision, early days. And I know that things are going to keep changing for you.
Yep.
And I'd love to have you on kind of as a guinea pig to some degree. Love to kind of have you on every 6 months to track your journey, your progress, your new learnings, because things are going to change for you.
Things will change, yeah. I don't really want to give away too much right now, but things will change. There's a lot of things that people are not doing in real estate brokerage. I think there's a lot of different arms to real estate and to brokerage. And the next 6 to 12 months are going to be very exciting.
New verticals on the horizon.
For sure.
Okay.
For sure.
But your typical property management.
I mean, that's all the typical
financing,
stuff. That's all the typical stuff. That's obviously comes with brokerage. But yeah, I think there's a few sweet spots that no one's hitting at the moment. Nobody. And that's what our plan is. Are
you ready to tell us about them now?
Absolutely not.
Are you ready to tell us about in 6 months' time?
I think you'll hear about it. I think everyone will hear about it. We've actually got a few surprises on that front in the pipeline as well.
All right.
A few known names, so that'll be interesting to see in the coming months. And we're building quite a fierce marketing team at the minute. That's at early stages. So
flew them out from the UK, didn't you?
Yeah, so wherever we can find the best ones, we're getting them in. So
okay, all right. Well, I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you so much
for the next 6 months.
Thank you.
Come back and tell us your continuation.
I would absolutely love to.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank
Hope
you
you enjoyed that. Like, share, and subscribe.